Hi, this is Dawn here for Soul Streaming, Walking in the Way. And I've just come in from a walk and wanted to share some of the thoughts I was having as I was walking here in beautiful Ireland. I was thinking about how each of us, you know, um, comes to this life with a specific and unique purpose and a particular strain of wisdom that I believe we each carry. And we come not at all certain about the how of how we're going to share that. And on our life's journey, at many points along the way, we can come up against the perceived correct way of doing things, against other people who want to push us in a certain direction, and there can be ways of moving through the world that become the accepted, appropriate ways of doing things. And this doesn't just happen pre-awakening, in terms of, just the average ordinary person moving through life and the prescribed um, ways of doing things that we've grown up with. It also happens, in circles of relatively conscious individuals where there can be a sort of a group, like almost a mob mentality that comes about. I have noticed this in several ways through the years, in various circles. First I would say it came very clearly to my attention when I had a successful business and was, essentially came up against a group of people who were also equally very successful, but had a greater following, perhaps. Now, almost like it was reminiscent of, honestly, of high school and the popular crowd, and they had their voices were cutting through the clutter more clearly. For perhaps a variety of reasons. But what happened for me was I sort of like shrunk, away because it felt like, well, I wasn't doing it in the prescribed way. And I've spoken about that before, so I'll leave that thought. But I've recently come up against that again in, very enlightened communities and among people who I really resonate with their truth and their work. And yet, I am very aware also that my way of doing things is not at all is not at all aligned with perhaps what they are espousing as the path forward. I'm not sure I'm articulating this exactly, so I'm hoping that you're catching kind of the energy of this. So let me give you an example. Something that's been very much in the vernacular in spiritual circles is this idea of kick-ass spirituality and kind of a warrior mentality. And trust me, I've got that in me, and yet that's really not what I feel that I'm here to be. I honor it absolutely, and I'm appreciative of it when I see it. And yet, there's a fine line. So, what is the best? I don't even want to say the word correct. It's not really about right and wrong, right? It's about, but what is the best way for one individual is not necessarily the best way for the individual right beside them. And I believe this applies to all areas of our experience and all of the ways we are coming to life and living in full expression. So I believe it is entirely possible for the path, for example, to abundance and prosperity, or the path to really thriving relationships, and the path to success, that nebulous word that we use so often, which is very differentiated from one individual to the next. Those paths, it's not as simple as let's all get on the bandwagon of whatever it is in that at that moment. Just noticing my hair is a real mess. Oh well. So I hope that you'll just give some thought to the next time that you're feeling like you're seeing that something is really got some sticking power, great. Give that your consideration. But if it is not right for you, don't jump on that bandwagon. I've done that in the past. I'm not doing it now because I know that that's not what I'm here to embody or animate or be. I am not personally drawn to that idea um, of. I have been at points. It's interesting because of that very thing I mentioned, that sort of like, boss approach. I'm here, and I actually do feel it in certain areas of my life right now, but not in terms of kind of my love leadership and the way that I move forward with my life's work. And so this video is all just to encourage you that whatever your unique way of doing things, your unique way of describing what it is you do, and your unique way of showing up and moving through the world, let that shine. If it stands apart from what everybody else is doing, then so be it. And if it doesn't get you, the immediate following or the applause and recognition that perhaps you long for, as do I. And often that's driven, of course, because our hearts really want the gifts that we are here to share, to connect. And when, for myself here, I'll speak to this, when that doesn't happen, there can be both sort of a heartbreak, an inner sadness, or discouragement, and it can be very tempting to adopt that approach that you see working so well for others. But there is a deeper truth, those streams of our soul, that if we stay with that, and if we allow ourselves to be immersed fully in the whole of who we are, and if we allow that to come forth in its own time, and to stand, in that stream of our life, and be present to it, whatever it is. I just truly, deeply believe that we will find that that moment of recognition where we will meet ourselves along the way, and our souls will just burst forth in glorious applause and a standing ovation for ourselves. And so right now, I want to invite you to do that. I actually did this about a week ago. I was having one of these moments of relative discouragement about some things that I was sharing, realizing fully that if I either went back to the old ways to communicate it, or adopted, one of these approaches that really didn't feel like me, but I certainly knew that there was some validity in terms of, garnering attention and to that. But it would, again, that would be shortchanging, my particular way of being. And I wouldn't be being relentlessly authentic if I simply adopted someone else's approach. And so I am really rambling here, but I hope that some of this is really connecting for some of you who maybe have felt, a little bit of a disconnect, and either kind of jumped on the bandwagon knowing that it really wasn't fully aligned with who you are, or felt, in some way left out, or as if you were not going to ever have that opportunity to shine, fully. And so what I'm attempting to offer here is just my presence to that for myself and for any of you who are out there. And I just really can't wait for the day when there can be thousands of different approaches and none of us feels the need to judge any of them, that we just allow them to be, and we celebrate each other, and we celebrate ourselves, and we stand up and we say thank you to ourselves for having the courage and the love within our hearts to move through this world in a way that is filled with grace and wonder and mystery and is honoring of all of that variety, all of that variety. So we stand in the center and turn 360 degrees and are amazed at the beauty of it all. So, by the way, if you are standing for kick-ass spirituality, I absolutely celebrate you, and I really do appreciate much in that, and in many of the other methods that I didn't mention. So I am working on honoring and appreciating my own style, and so in my own finding, actually sticking with it long enough to really discover what that is. And for some of us, it takes us a little longer to kind of, because sometimes it's hard to hold it, right? Like, so it can, for me personally, there can be so many streams, and I have a sense of it, and I think I will feel it. And there have been points along the way when I have felt, oh, this is it. This is me. I kind of have in my own journey come to that place with, seeing myself as a soul explorer and someone who just absolutely loves to be immersed in the wonder and the mystery of this life. That is truly, truly reflective of my soul's truth. So whatever you feel drawn to, celebrate that, and know that you can always try something new, and know that every single other person out there is amazing, truly amazing. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful experience that we are having here, to experiment and try new things, and just deeply, deeply honoring of the joy of being on the way with you.